Hey everybody, welcome back to the Fish Tank. It's tournament time again. We are having some 2v2 action today from my November Fishbowl Brawl. Now remember, these are the last tournaments that are going to be for the Minion Masters version 1, because version 2.0 is launching almost now. It's going to be December the 12th. It's going to be the prologue. It's going to be all the Xbox and Steam players going over to the new version of the game. So that's very exciting to look forward to. And of course, with 2.0 and the new friends list system based on the Beta Dwarf friends list rather than Xbox or Steam, means we can have proper cross-play lobbies, which potentially means we can have proper cross-play tournaments. So Xbox players, Steam players, and ultimately mobile players potentially in the same event. So that's something to definitely consider and to look forward to. But today we're going to be talking about PC players. We're going to have Darkrow against and SeT, against F1cUs and Madmax. So this is going to be a very tough game for both teams, but I think Darkrow and SeT will be the favourites. They are the reigning champions, and they will face the winner of this will face Aristocrat or Zyke in the grand final. We don't have a video for their semi-final because unfortunately that was decided by a disqualification. Their opponents just simply didn't turn up, but these things happen. Right, so as always, the players will have ban powers. So they can ban a master, and they can ban 3 particular cards that their opponents cannot play. Their opponents have that ban power back towards them. So we can see that both teams have banned King Puff. King Puff very strong, especially in 2v2, so not surprised to see that. Again, both teams banning Rimagal's Breath. That is a very strong removal spell. Only does 150 damage now, but still very strong. It does have an upcoming change in the 2.0 version of the game where you can no longer put it on the bridge. You can basically target it as a defensive spell, so you can't cover the bridges. So that should be a nerf, but we'll see if that affects, or how much that affects the power of that card going forward. Both teams again banning Ritual of Servitude. They are clearly concerned about those big powerful decks. And then we see Fergus Flagoon Fighter banned for Darkrow, and Chain Gang banned for F1cUs and Madmax. I just noticed that should actually be Chain Lightning, of course. So just testing myself there, and I've managed to see my mistake, and we're going to fix it in real time. Boom, there we go. Okay, right, that makes more sense. So, semi-final time, Darkrow and SeT versus F1cUs and Madmax. Let's get our game on. Right, here we go. Game 1 of this best of 5.
You could say that I'm a light-hearted.
What are we going to see? Okay, let's get our dual decks set up. I know they're kind of small, but hopefully seeing them all does help you understand what's going on. Okay, so what do we have? Valorian Volko against Morelia Stormbringer. Crystal Elf Stormbringer. Strong deck. One of the most hated sort of deck archetypes. No wild cards in these tournaments, of course. We want to keep them as high skill as possible. Right, Fergus and the Woodsman there. Revelry triggering, giving the buff to the Woodsman there. Fergus didn't really get much of a bonus. Yeah, using the scratch to try to keep the Lady and Frey alive, but unfortunately luck was not on their side. Lady and Frey did go down to the Searing Light. You know how powerful the Reboomer can be. Let's see if they can shut it down. I'll see the Reboomer dies, but then it doesn't actually die, and there's a mistake there. Reboomer gets extra value, and that's a card that can be really mishandled, and there we saw how annoying it can be. Right, rapid response reserves, dropping the Marines. They do get the shield. The Rimagal, sorry, the Bevalanche, that's the one, laughs in the face of your shields. Right, XP slightly into the blue team's lead. Darkrow and SeT getting to their perk 2 very soon. Perk 2 is going to be the healing. Valorian. Going to be the bridge burn for Volko. I'm trying to remember which order the perks are in, because remember they did get reordered at one point a little while ago. The powered spellbook for Morelia, and Stormbringer's going to give the range marksmanship to the units. The ranged units, right. Slight XP lead for the red team here, but nothing really to talk about at the moment. Glenn's Brew there, nicely used, just keeping the tank alive. Scotty come through, bridge grab from behind. And there we see a little bug, because that's the woodsman. That's the groggy woodsman that comes out of the Walking Blind 8, but the bug is that it has full HP instead of regular half HP. Been a long-standing bug, it'll get fixed at some point. It's not a high priority one, I guess. Okay, so a little bit of an XP lead for Dark Crow and SeT as we move towards both teams getting their perk 3, probably within the next sort of 30 seconds or so. Decent value there from the Blade Star. Doesn't quite fully kill her. I feel like they could have saved her. Seems like it's a little bit lax from the red team, allowing High Inquisitor, no, the High Mage Laylel to die. Right, whose perk 3 is going to be most impactful in this game? Morelia, of course, is going to have Nirvir, but that's only going to be a one-time only dragon. Berserker Rage on the melee units could be a little bit terrifying. Bridgeburn helping that Elite Swarmer to kill the warrior there. And again, unable to prevent the Searing Light from killing its target. That's always going to be painful, because Lady and Frey can get huge value if she can live. Right, perk 3 now for both teams. Fergus is going to be kind of annoying to deal with here. He isn't raged, which is fortunate for the blue team. But he's going to be kept alive by the Glenn's Brew, and then he's going to start attacking again. And here comes Scotty. He is raged. Berserker Rage Scotty is terrifying. The wall does a good job, though, shutting that down. Nice heal. Right, here comes the dragon. It's the only dragon we're going to see today. What can it do? It's going to be spawned defensively, as you would expect. But, of course, that leaves the bridges open for the blue team, who already have a sizable 40 XP lead. Bounty Sniper getting a little bit ahead of itself there. Spawned with a nosebleed and immediately died. Again, this dragon really failing to get much value at all. So much DPS on it. Nirvir can be hugely impactful in solos, not so much so in duos, especially if it's just from the perk 3 and it's the one-time only. But this is a Berserker Rage Fergus, sorry, on face. The heal's coming, but I don't think it's... Oh, it is going to be enough. Just. Nicely done. The heal didn't save them. They were going to survive anyway. But the heal does give them a tiny bit of breathing space, but not much. Big XP lead for the blue team, and they've got their throats on the red team's throat right now. Yeah, they're doing a good job defending from the golem, but it's basically the beginning of the end here. It's going to be Mana Frenzy very soon for Dark Crow and SeT, and you would very much expect them to take the game once that... You know, Mana Frenzy is not always an immediate win for whoever gets it first, but in this situation, with Madmax and Vicar so low on HP and so far behind on XP, there's just no way they're going to hold on against this onslaught. Right, Lady and Frey goes down again with a Searing Light. Dark Crow and SeT are going to take the first game in this best of 5. That was a 5 mana bean reduced by the Rapid Response Reserves. And they strike first. Game 1 goes to Dark Crow and SeT. Right, game 2 in the semi-final. We're going to see Apep and SeT against Mordar and Apep. Game on! Looks like we've got a Ritual Mordar. Without the Ritual, of course, because it was banned. They probably would have had a Ritual in there, but they're just going for a heavy deck. Right. Defensive Chopper available for Madmax and Ficus. That's going to help dealing with Fergus. Does need some DPS to support it, though. Beam's going to be crucial to remove things like the Harbinger, because that can be really awkward to deal with. SeT going put pressure on the Tombstone. Might not prevent the res. Okay, there's a res, but unfortunately it's the scrap from the Reckonator, not the Reckonator itself. That's definitely not what Madmax and Ficus wanted, and that's kind of annoying with the piloted, how that can really count against you in those situations. SeT, one of those masters that's very skill dependent, very, very powerful in the hands of an accomplished player like Dark Crow, but generally in the meta, underpowered. Right, Cleaver just surviving there. Well, unfortunately it does go down, but it definitely took a lot with it. Alright, Fergus from both teams. One on each lane. Alright, close so far. Madmax and Ficus need to be careful. They take too much face damage. Perk 3 SeT is going to be terrifying for them. SeT is always awkward for a Mordar opponent, since SeT can put direct pressure on those tombstones. Looks like we're going to get a Fergus res here. Healthy Fergus res. Blade Star gets some okay value. Blade Star, again, one of those cards that's kind of, I think, sort of weak overall, but in the hands of a really good player, fairly disgusting. Oh, look how much damage Radix's doing to that Cleaver. That Cleaver doesn't even get a second hit off. Right, XP lead for Madmax and Ficus right now. They're doing a great job so far this game. Head on XP, ahead on HP. A little bit of poison getting stacked from that Slitherbound at the bottom. Remember, they did get that buff recently with their attack speed, so they can stack that poison faster than ever. Okay, not the best beam there. Takes the Borra out, but misses the Fergus. Fergus survives with the Glen's Brew, and that's the power of the Glen's Brew. I really do like the way Glen's Brew is in its current implementation. It used to be super cheesy, whereas now it's a card that can be used in a lot of different ways, and you can get a lot of value out of it. Yet another card that's quite skill dependent. Not a great Reckonator res. It comes out and immediately starts self-destructing. Right, perk 3 now for Madmax and Ficus. They're going to get their big tombstone. Can't even remember what it's called. And of course, those free cards from Apep. Again, nice use of the Glen's Brew there. That shielded Caleb's going to be annoying to deal with. I'm trying to remember what the perk 3 tombstone is called. It's like Sepecular or something. Let me know in the comments. Right. There's the stun from SeT shutting down Caleb's shield. But that's a big Caleb res. Of course, he's going to come with Spirit, and he's going to be hasted coming out of that tombstone. These big unit-only decks really did get a huge buff when they changed the bridges, the way the bridges can be interacted, because it's so much harder to take the bridges away from them. You can see here, big XP lead. Nice bridge grab at the top though. Beam shuts down the Harbinger. Right, can the perk 3 Setsu start changing things here? That's a big beam. It's not going to get the Setsu. I don't know. I feel like the Setsu was more of the target there. Right, Cleaver's going to get sliced and diced a little bit. Resets the aggro, I think. No, it doesn't. Okay. Thought it was going to hit the Elite Swarmer, but it didn't get far enough away from it. Big explosion from the Rekinator, though. That's problematic. Right, Setsu goes down. Big XP lead for Madmax and F1cUs. They look like they're bringing this semi-final back to 1 game all. Shielded Caleb at the bottom there. There's the shield. Going to be awkward to deal with. It's going to take a while. And all the while, the XP is really piling up for the red team, who already have a big XP lead. They're about to tick over to Mana Frenzy. I can't see how they can possibly defend this. Setsu could be massive in this situation. But of course the beam is just going to be used to dispatch Setsu, and that's going to be the beginning of the end here for Dark Crow and SeT. Madmax and F1cUs fighting back. It's going to be 1 game all in this best of 5 semi-final. It's going to take a little while to play out, especially with the Setsu shields, but it's pretty inevitable. They're doing a good job holding on for as long as they can, but there's the beam on the pocket doing the face damage as well. Under 500 HP. They're playing it out, but I think they know. Setsu doing a great job holding on, and they're making them wait for this, but they know they're just going to keep cycling that beam. Harbinger comes in and brings us back. We've got a semi-final on our hands here. It's 1 game all. Okay, something we need to discuss though. Now, the astute among you may have noticed Fergus Flagoon Fighter banned by Dark Crow and SeT. It was played by F1cUs and Madmax in that last game, unfortunately. That means they played an illegal card, so whilst momentarily it looked like they brought the games back to 1 game all, they will lose that game. Replaying an illegal card. So we're going to go to 2 games to 0 to Dark Crow and SeT. That's frustrating. We do see quite a few situations where people make these mistakes, and you've got to be super careful to not play these banned cards, because, you know, they took a great game off the reigning champions here, but unfortunately it's going to be scratched. And we go 2 games to 0. Right, here we go. Could this be the deciding game? 2 games to 0. SeT and Dark Crow leading at the moment. Let's find out if the fight back can be started. So we've got Morelia and Diona against Mordor and Apep. Looks like they're playing the same decks as before as the red team. Maybe they just switched out the illegal Fergus. We'll see. If they hadn't played Fergus in the last game, would they have won? Who knows? All we do know is they did play it, it was illegal, and that match was then, of course, awarded to the blue team. Nice Taunt Trap, spinning the Colossus around. There's a good couple of hits on it from the Woodsman there. Raged, of course, doing a lot of damage. Active Tombstone. You're getting good reds here, but no, the Shockrock says, I don't think so. Tombstone reset, has to recharge. No Colossus res. And despite the changes to Mordor, it's always going to be a master that's pretty coin flippy. The difference between getting that res and not is just huge. XP still equal as we move towards both teams getting their perk 2. Morelia's going to get her empowered spellbook. Diona going to have Ruffles getting involved. Pick up those vials and those little gifts. And of course Mordar's going to get that. Does Mordar get a perk 2 now? Not a second tombstone. It's the hasted and spirited reds, right? Of course Apep gets the shield. Okay, the heal comes in there. I don't know about that heal. Seems to benefit the blue team quite a lot. Okay, some good poison there. I don't know if the gong was necessary, but the first gong's free, right? So it's fine. Is it free? I don't know. Right, the trap's putting pressure on the tombstone. Might not stop a res, but of course the more damage a tombstone takes, the less HP a unit's going to have when it comes out. If it comes out! But the Shock Rock and the Blade Star put end to any ideas they had of any res at that point. And now, with the current Mordor implementation, because it's only one tombstone, it's very susceptible to getting just locked down with a single Shock Rock. Okay, that's a big beam. Was a little bit early, but maybe had to be to keep everything together. Right, Azali. Are we going to see some shields? Not currently. Bridge needs to be taken by the red team to generate that. Right, Thurgus getting some great DPS on Azali. Azali goes down. Thurgus survives with the Glen's Brew. Beautifully done. Lives to get some more damage off. Not too much. Again, a good Blade Star. I think there was the potential there for the Blade Star to get stuck between the Reconator and the Defensor, which could have killed both of them. Didn't quite make it out. I don't know about the Shock Rock. Was it necessary on to shut down the Reconator res? Because the Reconator is not a good res, because it's likely to just res and then self-destruct. They didn't want to play that game. Right, XP's dead level as we go into perk 3 territory. Let's see how much can be done by Nirvir. One and only Nirvir for the blue team. Colossus getting just tanked and aggroed and DPS down there. Scary looking push at the bottom there. How do they deal with this? Oh, the spirit onto the golem is disgusting. Bara is perfect. Stun Lance is going to do exactly what needs to be done. Okay, that was a scary looking push, but it was shut down. But in comes the breath. No extra damage on the breath, of course, with Ascension anymore. I think it might be getting a buff in the next patch. 2.0, damage going up a little bit. Shock Rock a little late. Caleb does spawn. That's a big, valuable res. Spawns with a spirit, of course, and hasted. Right, gonna be a big beam, but there's the black hole to defend against the beam. That's massive. Those swings can be huge. Prevents all the damage, and of course it's a good mana trade. Black hole versus beam. Good heal. Dragon at the bottom's not going to do too much. There's a Frostbearer there to keep it locked in place. XP very, very tight. Okay, Nivea goes down, doesn't achieve too much. Radic at the top, mobile as ever. Reconator's going to explode. Nice bit of damage there, and this is looking like it's a good situation for the red team at the moment. They are slightly behind on XP, but they've got the bridges at the moment. Nice trap at the top there, tanking with the trap and supporting with the DPS. It's going to be very close. Oh, that's huge value there onto the big perk 3 tombstone. Right, Mana Frenzy for both teams now. Big beam. Black hole denies it. There is going to be a res, but the tombstone's very damaged from that Blade Star. Maybe there isn't going to be a res. Okay, there it is. It's a Colossus. It is supporting, but the Zip Zapinator is going to be very difficult for them to play into here. It is fully charged. You can see those 3 lights on the back indicating how many times it has been recharged and empowered. You've got the 2 rings and then the sphere on the top of it, and it's getting massive value there, pumping out the damage. MVP at the bottom there, Zip Zapinator. Really awkward card to play into. No black hole to stop the beam. Right, Radic. Oh, nice taunt though, spins the units around, but that Colossus is going to get a good hit off. This game could go the distance. Again, those taunt traps, so good to spin things around and keep them off the bridges. Oh my goodness! That Blade Star, that was just fortunate. There's no way that that was targeted that many bounces, but it gets stuck between the edge, almost inside the Colossus. Colossus just melts. Good res at the bottom though with the shield guard, spirited of course from the perk. Nice black hole. What do you do at this point if you're playing the beam and the black hole keeps shutting it down? I feel like you just got to stop doing that. But it's been kind of weird because I don't think that the beam has always been black hole. So sometimes it's got value, sometimes it hasn't. Maybe that's why they're still persevering with it. Remember, 2-0, Dark Crow and SeT leading here. So if they take this, they will be into the grand final. Again, there's the beam, but the black hole's not used. Looks like they want their mana more for defending the push at the top. But I don't know. I don't know why they've not black holed a lot of the beams. Especially with the cheap cycle, you feel like it's kind of a late beam there. And this looks like they're just getting overwhelmed. It looks like suddenly the blue team have taken the ascendancy here. And they're super far ahead when it comes to XP or units on the field. And they're going to take this. Dark Crow and SeT are going to go into the grand final. And that was a good, long 9 minutes and 14 seconds at the end there. Good, long Mana Frenzy fight. And we could see that it wasn't an immediate... We got to Mana Frenzy and the game was closed out. Both teams did a great job. I was kind of surprised that they didn't black hole the Beam of Doom more often. It felt like only sort of half of the Beam of Dooms were black holed, even though the black hole was always available. So I'm not really sure about that interaction. But that's Dark Crow and SeT in the semi-final, beating f1cUs Madmax by 3-0. And as mentioned, they will go into the grand final, where they will play Aristocrat and Zyke. I'm not quite sure how you pronounce X, Y, and K, but that's my attempt at it. And of course, we'll have that video here on the Fish Tank. So make sure you hit that subscribe button if you want to be notified and join us along, so you don't miss out on anything here in the Fish Tank that's Minion Masters related. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up and let me know in the comments, what did you think of this? Did it go as you were expected? How did you feel about the Black Hole versus Beam of Doom interaction? Did I miss anything? Of course, we had a little bit of drama with Game 2 where f1cUs Madmax did play the f1cUs, which was a banned card, so it could have been closer. But ultimately, rules are rules. If you break them, you're going to get punished. Right. Join me again in the next one where we see Dark Crow and SeT in the grand final. But that's pretty much it here from me. I'm bad as a fish, and as always, I'm always waving. Nailed it.